Greetings, this is Ty Brown with Spades Media Group, and I'm here with Jason Hart. Jason is the Associate Head Coach at USC. Jason, man, I'm glad to have you on here.
Glad to be here, man. Glad to be here.
Now, Jason, of course, we both grew up in Los Angeles. I specifically grew up in Inglewood. Westchester for 2 or 3 years for you?
I went 3 years.
3 years.
9th through 11th grade.
9th through 11th in Inglewood. Of course, I graduated from Westchester. Went off. I was a walk-on at Michigan State. Jason, you went up to Syracuse, played basketball. Yep. I remember running to you a couple times back when we'd be back in LA on Sunday nights, riding Crenshaw. We'd be in our Volkswagens. You'd be out there with your in. One of the things that was interesting back when we were both in school is that the student-athlete development. Just you come in, you're an athlete. Interaction with campus isn't as much as you would like it to be, but you still got to focus on trying to be the best you could possibly be. Tell me about your experience when you were at Syracuse.
Well, for me, it was a culture shock.
Right.
And I hear a lot of coaches talk about the first 90 days for a coach when you take over. Right. I think we need to start focusing on the first 30 days for a kid coming from a different background.
Right, exactly.
Nobody never talks about that part. We bring these kids from these different environments to this predominantly white school, right, and they struggle sometimes early, culturally, socially.
Right.
So for me, the first 30 days for me was very tough. Yeah, it was tough because this was my first time being in this type of environment.
Right.
You come from one high school and then you're in college. So it was tough, and learning how to deal with others, learning how to be ready and punctual for academic classes and stuff like that. So it's tough. And you coming from a far place, you know, LA to Syracuse, right, it's a long distance. So the first 30 days for any student athlete, right, it's tough because now they're in a new environment.
Right. Now, of course, at Michigan State, I was a walk-on football player, so I tried out and didn't make it my freshman year and tried out again my sophomore year and made it. But what I found out when I was a freshman was that I was inadequately prepared for study, inadequately prepared for writing papers and anything, so I had to take some remedial courses in addition to the courses I was taking to learn. Did you find any of that when you went there? Or?
I was the same way. Yeah. And I didn't want to down my school. I went to Inglewood High School,
yeah, right,
but I was not prepared academically. Right. I mean, I was writing papers. And the professor was like, Jay, you can't write no paper. This is all type. I didn't know. So I'm writing, scratching out, and turning it in, thinking but I just didn't know. I was not prepared in that part. So that's why I said the first 30 days for me, I had to learn. Academically, I was not prepared and ready for an institution like that coming from Inglewood High School.
Right, right. Now, I came from Westchester, and I actually took a couple AP courses, but what I found was the terms of putting your thoughts together, putting them in order so they flowed in the paper, none of that actually I learned. And that's not a knock against any teachers. It might have been my fault. Maybe I was having too much fun in college, but it's the reality of the situation. Yeah. You had to come in and learn how to do that.
And that's something that we've got to grow and learn. And academically, that's where all your tutors, your support staff, your learning specialists help these student athletes, because we know when we do get our players that they're going to struggle in some areas. So we try to tackle it before they even get to that part, right, so it won't be no surprises. But you know, the first 30 days is
very important.
Yeah, no question. Just for a regular student, forget athlete, just for a regular
students, just adjusting, right. Now you played in the NBA. How long were you in the NBA?
10 years.
Played 10 years in the NBA. Of course, every step, I guess, as we go through life, every chapter of our life is a new experience, and we learn how to adjust. Tell us about the adjustment when you initially got in the NBA, mid-career, and then as you were transitioning out. Tell about your inflection points as you were adjusting.
Well, adjusting, you know, you just like these kids today, social media is such a big deal, right, that when they do get to college and they don't have success right away, it's tough. Fortunately for me, when I did get drafted, it was I knew that the players in front of me were better.
Right.
When you're 18, nah, that's not true. Coach is tripping. So for me, it was a learning point where I can learn from my veterans when I was a rookie. Right. Towards the middle to the end of my career, I knew what I wanted to do. I knew I wanted to be a coach, so I started to get more curious and ask the coaches current questions about, you know, why you do this, what's the strategy for. Towards the end of my career, I said I do want to coach college. So I didn't do the overseas thing when I was done playing the NBA. I jumped in the AAU, right, started driving kids in the van, learning the area again in terms of who's the decision maker with all these players. And then I was able to get a high school job in that transition to Pepperdine to USC. So I just think that I like being in an academic environment. I think education for me is always the most important piece. We're just using the game to get what we want academically. Yeah, so I love being in the academic. I love going to work at a school, right, because it feels like it's keeping me sharp and smart.
Right, and it's funny, we realized that, right? When we were in college, I don't know if that was necessarily where we were, but now we know how important education and where you get your education
no doubt
is to you. I'll wrap with this final question here. You find yourself coaching back in Los Angeles. We both grew up streets of LA. Talk to me about how important that is for you. You're back in LA, you're recruiting kids from the area, you're coaching at USC, which is, you know, a prominent school. Of course, you got your kids, your family, you want to be a good role model for them. Talk to me about coaching where you grew up.
Well, it's a blessing for me, and my goal, my hope is every day that I can go grab somebody from my community and help them make their life better when they're done playing basketball.
Right, exactly.
So that's my motivation every day. I wake up in the morning to go grab some young man who wants to do well in his life, but through the game of basketball, we're gonna get this really good education. So I'm motivated every day driving through the streets where I was born and raised to try to bring somebody to this institution that costs $75,000 a year, where you don't have to pay. So that's what motivates me every single day.
That's an excellent answer, Jason. I really appreciate you joining me here on this video.
Thanks, brother.
Right. That was Jason Hart. He's associate head coach at USC, and of course, I'm Ty Brown with Spades Media Group. And keep in mind, the role of a leader is to create and maintain an environment that people want to be a part of. And as always, be better tomorrow than you are today.